Hi, thank you for joining us as we spotlight our Vonney Girl of the Month, Miss Terri Hamm. So, Terri, just want to get right into it. Terri and I went to the illustrious Howard University together, and Terri is a woman that has done many, many wonderful things in her life. So, Terri has launched a bookstore located in Third Ward, Houston, Texas. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your bookstore? You can tell it way better than I could.
So the probably the biggest source of inspiration for the bookstore was my daughter Elle. She loves to read, and reading is actually one of the things that we've been able to bond over as mother and daughter, and it's actually been a beautiful thing. And so, like back in the day, I learned that she loved to read, and I was definitely tuned into the types of books that I thought she liked to read. So I would be ordering away for her from Amazon, like, okay, you like that book? I'm going to order you 5 books just like that. And then one day she was like, Ma, I appreciate you ordering me all these books, but like, they're all the same. They're all the same kind of story, right?
Hmm.
And so then I realized, I was like, okay, that makes sense, because when you order a book off Amazon, you get this whole row of like suggested titles, like, oh, you might be interested in this, but really they're all the same theme. And then it occurred to me that she doesn't really have any place to go explore the types of books that she likes. So, of course, Houston has bookstores, but they don't have that many bookstores that focus on the Black reader.
Hmm.
And not to say that Black readers just like to read Black authored books, but my daughter, she gravitates towards books by Black authors. And I think that is because there's diversity in Black stories, right? And I think as a teenager, she's trying to understand, like, who am I in this world, against the backdrop of what she sees in the media, the unfortunate killings of Black men in the street. She's trying to figure out her place in the world. She's trying to figure out her value in the world outside of what her parents tell her. And I feel like reading stories written by Black voices allows her to explore the true breadth of Blackness.
Mm.
So I'm just like, okay, I'm sure she's not the only Black little girl feeling this way in Houston. Houston is a huge city with a huge Black population. And I was like, you know what? We're going to open a bookstore, And so actually, a few years ago, my first idea was to open a book like mobile bus, because I wanted to bring books to all the places that didn't have access to books. If
Mm.
you do a little research, you hear terms like food deserts, where there are neighborhoods that don't have access to free food, I mean, to fresh foods.
Mhm.
But there's also a term called book deserts, where
Mm.
neighborhoods don't have access to printed educational materials.
In the US.
Um, in the US. Yeah, plenty of neighborhoods don't have bookstores. You might be able to go to the supermarket and buy a magazine or a puzzle book, but real true literature, some folks just don't have access to it outside of maybe a school building or a library, and libraries get closed all the time because of funding issues.
Right.
So the first idea was to start a mobile book bus, and I was going to drive around and, like, sell books, give out books. But in my heart of hearts, I know that I love to host. I love beautiful spaces. I love to create beautiful spaces specifically for Black people to enjoy. And I knew that I would be able to better do that in a physical bookstore space.
Mm.
So now I've got my eyes set on opening a physical bookstore. It's not open yet, but we are working on it. So that's the story behind Kindred Stories.
That is so.
But really, yeah, the root of it is, I am a reader myself. I love to read. It's something that was passed on to me by my mom as well. And I just want to create more spaces for our people to explore all of the beautiful works that are written for us by us.
If a young reader is coming from an area like a book desert, how would you recommend that they find their way into the like wonderful world of book reading, or how did you find your way in?
Like I just said, my mom read, so I that was modeled for me from a very young age. And so, unfortunately, if you're in a home where reading is not happening, it's not being modeled for you, it's going to be difficult to actually find your way into it. So my encouragement to young people who might be interested in reading is just start, just start, just start. and you will find something that you love to read. You'll find themes that you love to read. You'll find authors that you'll love to read, that you love to read, and stories that you can connect to, stories that you can see yourself in. Obviously, school should be a place where people learn to love to read. And I'm happy to see that nowadays it seems like some schools are being more open to including books by diverse authors
Mhm.
into the curriculum. Because I know me growing up in New York, I did have access to reading Black authors in an educational setting.
Mhm.
And a lot of other people did too. But now I just feel like there's so many amazing works available that could belong in the classroom. And I think if we continue to make diverse stories available to these kids, they'll find something that they like, something that they gravitate towards that will hopefully help them to open up and blossom into lifelong readers. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe go ahead.
and I think that schools really, our school districts, they really need to step it up and find ways to connect students with books that they will actually gravitate towards, see themselves in, and hopefully that will, just increase the amount of kids that love to read.
Yeah, I had a similar experience like that when I tried to read Michelle Obama's Becoming book. Um, because when you look at it, it's just so dense. And for me, it looked intimidating. I was like, I'm never going to be able to finish reading this. But then, realizing that she actually had an audiobook, I was like, okay, let me try an audiobook. And she narrates it. And it was actually really captivating, and I was able to finish it. I think it took me about a month. I would, listen to it here and there. Like I would go on like a really long walk and just listen to a chapter. Um, and it was really a really exciting experience to be able to read the book audibly. And I'd still say I read the book, even though I actually listened to it.
And that's the other thing too, like there are different types of books. And so my kids love to read. And everybody's always like, oh, like how do you get your kids to read? And I'm always like, well, you have to find what they like to read, not only with the content of the book, but sometimes the format of the book.
Mm,
There are graphic novels. A lot of these a lot of these classics have graphic novel adaptations for, that might really speak to some of these younger kids. For example, my son, I talk about Elle a lot, but my son, Ethan, who's like my baby, he's 8. He also loves to read. And I remember I wanted him to read Ghost by Jason Reynolds. That's an amazing book. And I wanted him to read this book because I was like, you're going to love this. You're going to love this book. But he really was not interested in it. So what do? We listened to it as an audiobook. And he listened to it's a series, and he listened to the whole thing. Why? Because the audiobook was engaging.
mm.
The narrator on the audiobook was funny. It is something that he connected with. So I think we also have to be creative about the format of books that we introduce, that we make available to our younger readers, especially. So this is a new release. It's called Wings of Ebony, and it's by JL. And I just finished it last night. And when I got to the acknowledgments part of the book, the end of the book where she does her thank yous, I cried. I cried because the book is beautiful. So this author, she's actually a local Houston author from Third Ward,
Mm.
and this is kind of like a fantasy book where the main character, her mom dies one day. Her mom gets shot, and she's whisked off to this magical land by her estranged father. So it turns out she's got some magical lineage, and she's learning about that world, but she was also forced to leave her little sister behind.
Mm.
And so she's trying to get back to her old neighborhood, and there's just all this drama, and she's got to find a way to bridge her new life, her old life, and it's beautiful. And the author, she talks a lot about her neighborhood, and her neighborhood kind of comes to life in the pages of the story. You can feel her connection um, in the writing and who she is now to her neighborhood, what her neighborhood made her, how, how her neighborhood, her friends there, her family, how they contributed to the person that she is. And you can feel that all throughout the book. So I think that is just really beautiful. And then in the acknowledgments, she takes so much time to thank so many like friends, families, cousins, just everybody who really
Mm,
poured into her and allowed her to pay homage to her neighborhood in this way, in this artifact that's going to live on forever.
mm,
And I respect people who do that, because Third Ward, it's a beautiful neighborhood with a lot of struggles, and she is highlighting the beauty of Third Ward, the beauty of community, the beauty of being strong-willed, and the beauty of never giving up. And she does that in this book, and I hope that
mm.
it's a YA book, so it's a young adult book. So I hope that tons of readers, tons of young kids, high school kids, get their hands on this book, because I think it's pretty empowering.
Mm.
And that's the beauty of reading, is that sometimes when you're feeling down and you're feeling like you can't see a way out, there are books out there that can help you to imagine, a way out of your situation.
Yeah,
And I think that's what she's trying to do in this book, and I think it's really beautiful.
I love that. Like
Yeah.
thinking of dreaming up a way out of your situation. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
books allow you to do that. I mean, they allow you to imagine, and that's why I'm so passionate about kids specifically reading, is because um, anybody can write anything. You can create anything in a book. And sometimes when your situation it feels limiting, you can open up a book and escape to a whole nother world. And it does a lot for the mind and the body. So, yeah.
I started reading this yesterday, girl. This is James Baldwin,
Giovanni's Room.
Giovanni's Room, and
So
I've been
you do read.
say it again.
You do read quite a bit.
Oh, I read in my adult years. When I was a kid, the only thing that I would read was Goosebumps, like Goosebumps and plays. I would read, but like it took me a while to like really, and outside of like school assignments, it took
Yeah,
me a while to really just want to read just for pleasure and to
yeah,
find pleasure in the journey of a story, of a novel, of fiction, even nonfiction. um
yeah,
which I like love now. Like I just finished reading Elaine uh Welteroth. I always mess up her last name, but I just finished reading her biography, which was like
yeah.
uh,
She's so amazing.
oh my god, it was so
Yeah.
good. Oh my god, just for so many reasons.
I don't watch that much TV, but I follow her on Instagram, and I guess she's got a new job with The Real. I think I'm not sure
Yeah,
which show she's on, but she's
yeah,
just I see little like snippets of what she's doing on that show. She's just so smart, and she's amazing. She's so impressive.
yeah, she is.
Yeah. But I want to get back to reading as a kid, because,
Yeah.
I kind of stalled on that question a little bit, because I honestly did not read that much work by Black authors as a kid. I read like The Babysitter's Club, I read Goosebumps, I
Mhm.
read all of that. But another reason for me starting the store was because of that increasing access piece, because I really feel like I was limited in my reading as a child, because I just didn't have access to Black authored books and books with Black stories,
Mhm.
books with Black main characters. Like my access to that, me personally, I know there's tons of other people that did have access to that, but me personally, it was limited. So, I was relegated to, whatever was available at my library, which is where I would spend a lot of time reading The Babysitter's Club, reading Goosebumps. But I would just wonder if I had more access to Black authored books with telling Black stories. I just wonder what kind of impact would that have had on my teenage years. Like,
Yeah.
who knows?
Yep.
So I think that's why Kindred Stories is so important to me, because I really do think it's important to increase that access. And we all have a role to play in that, and Kindred Stories will be playing a small part in that. But I'm hoping that will have an impact.
And I
Yeah,
do, I agree, and I concur for my own life, because like I said, even though I was reading, and I read a lot of poetry as well. Um, but it definitely was work that was centered around like white characters, white
Wow.
poets, a lot of Shakespeare because I was into acting theater, a lot of Odettes and Tennessee Williams and like, all of those like white narratives. And I know that I'm just curious if I had started reading, Black playwrights or Black poets younger, just the difference of that, just how that would have shaped my own narrative and my own creative process. um
Right. And I wonder how it would have shaped my outlook of self, like my whole self perception.
yeah.
I grew up in Queens, New York, and it was super diverse, super, super diverse. But, I found myself in different groups of people.
Hmm.
I had like my Black friends and I had like my diverse group of friends, and it was very confusing for me. It was confusing. It still is to this day. But I just wonder, had I had more access and more of an interest in reading Black authored books, how would that have just shaped me? How would that have shaped my confidence as a Black female? Trying to find her way in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that a goal of mine as far as like how I would like to see the world, um I think would be to see Black literature, fiction, nonfiction, historical fiction, being a part of like your average school curriculum, you know,
Right.
so that that onus and that burden is not always on the Black parent, the Black mother, the Black,
Yeah.
Sunday school teacher, you know what I'm saying? Like, the Black community to do everything to get our, to advance our people.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And as a Black mother, I mean, that's something that I struggle with all the time. Just what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? Are my kids going to the right school? Are we living in the right neighborhood? When it comes to making sure that they realize and understand that their Blackness is beautiful and it's dope, and you know it's 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 like it's not as easy as you think it would be as a Black mom, because especially for my son, I mean, with all the stuff that happened last year, he's 8, and he's looking around like, is this how people view me? Like, he has to reckon with that, right?
Mm.
And so I hope through him, obviously he has his mom and his dad to let him know, like, you're beautiful, like, we're gonna keep you, safe, you're good. But I'm happy that he has access to tons of stories with Black superheroes and Black men doing beautiful things in this world that he hopefully can tap into when he's feeling any doubts. He's only 8, he's got a long way to go, and realizing who he is. And so, yeah, the whole Black parenting thing it's intense. I mean, this is something that I spend so much time with my friends talking about, problem solving around.
Yeah.
And it sucks because I love being Black, and I think, having a Black family is amazing. Black culture is amazing, but we have to spend so much time, just figuring out how do we navigate this world as a Black parent. It just adds another layer
Another
to
layer.
parenting that a lot of my white counterparts they don't really truly understand
Yeah. Or have to deal with or have to
or have to
consider.
deal with,
Yeah. Yep.
you know.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
I can only imagine being a young Black kid and walking into a bookstore like Kindred Stories, and everywhere I'm looking, it's like, a brown Black story, from, because you have children's books, young adult books, adult books, you have the whole gamut, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That.
No, I'm excited about that too. I mean, I can't wait for us to open up our physical space, and I can't wait to see these kids,
Yeah.
teenagers walk in and just like light up at all of the cool and interesting things that hopefully there's some things that they're specifically looking for that they can find, but also hopefully there's some things that they didn't know existed, that
That
they're
found
just so
them.
Right, that they're just so excited to learn about. So I'm super excited about this space opening. And another important part of Kindred Stories is also celebrating Black artisans.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll also be selling like stationery made by Black artisans,
Yes.
cards, wrapping paper. Around Christmas time, everybody's searching for Black Santa wrapping paper, can't find it anywhere. I'm hoping that Kindred Stories becomes a place where people can know, like, okay, I can go to Kindred Stories and find what it is that I am looking for. Um, and know that it's been vetted, it's been curated, is I put a lot of thought into that part of the business as well. So
I love
I'm
that.
just super excited about it, and I'm excited about what you're doing because
Thank you.
I have many passions, obviously, but I try to support Black businesses whenever and however I can, but not just for the sake of supporting Black businesses. I support them because I think they're excellent.
Yes.
And especially in the Black beauty world, I mean, my whole entire skin routine, I'm proud to say, is, I support 100% Black owned businesses with that.
Yes.
And my skin has never looked better, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Queen.
Yeah. It's
Yes.
and I feel like access is increasing to that because of Instagram. Like I'm able to go on and
Mhm.
find, all kinds of stuff. Your box is doing that work. I mean, I loved everything in your box. The body cream that I got in the January box, it's done, it's finished, and I need to reorder it.
I just had somebody email me yesterday talking about that body souffle and how that they would have never known that that company existed. And I'm
Exactly.
like, and that's the point. That brings my heart so much joy to be able to bring awareness to Black artisans who have been around for years and just doing their
Yeah.
thing. And I've been intentionally trying to make a point to diversify my home, like the things that I have in my home, from my lotion to my glasses to my plant pots to my couch. Like I'm like, everything shouldn't be made by a white person, just period. Like I have no more eloquent way to say it. Like
Yeah.
everything around me should not be from one people group. Like that's
Right.
weird to me. That is weird to me. And so
Ownership. Yeah.
yeah, and so I'm trying to diversify my home is how I'm looking at it, and bringing a reflection of the beauty and the diversity of our world into my home, so that it's not just this compartmentalized, oh, I'm only thinking about diversity when something negative happens at the workplace and now I got to
Right.
address diversity, or it's Black History Month and so now I want to throw up make sure that I eat somewhere Black this. No, like I want to be able to
The
uh,
lifestyle.
a lifestyle and
Yeah.
appreciate things that are made from different hands, because like you, just like a story has a certain narrative depending on what it's centered around, I also believe objects and the way something is made is different, from a person who is from the African diaspora to the Latinx community to
Yeah.
whatever else is the thing. um
Yeah.
so even down to the materials that are being used. So
Yeah.
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 Mhm.
I'm with you 100%. But you have to be intentional about that. It's not easy to do. Like, it's not easy to find a couch made by by a person of color. Maybe you can find a couch that's made by a person of color, probably, but do they own the company?
Yeah,
Like it's hard you have to be super intentional about it. So
you
yeah,
do.
I think it's
My little sister actually found this Black furniture store, like furniture makers, um, recently, and she has bought like couches and like ottomans. And I'm talking about, girl, it's nice stuff, like velvet fabric, and like it's like really nice stuff, and that they're making it by hand and they're shipping it, from their warehouse. And I'm like, oh my God, I had no idea to ever think that a Black person would make a couch. Like, why? Why
yeah.
not? Like,
Well, you'll have to share that company with me because another goal that I have for Kindred Stories for the build out is to use as many Black makers and like how we furnish the store. I mean, from paint to wallpaper to lighting fixtures, if there's a Black artisan that does that work, like I definitely want to give them a look first to see,
Yeah, I'll send
if
some
it's
people
good enough
your
for.
I'll send some people your way because I also know a couple of Black owned paint companies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, me too. Yeah, 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 yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But we make all types of beautiful things, it's just like that. And, even like you said with your box, you are just increasing awareness because a lot of these companies have been around for
hmm
years and probably decades. We just don't know about them.
we just don't know, and that's
Yeah.
my thing. I'm like, my platform is to give access. That's all I feel like I'm doing. It's like, oh, you need this, okay, just
So
go over
you're
there.
playing the role of connector.
Connector.
And it's the same thing I'm trying to do in the bookstore. Like I don't know everything about Black books. Like I'm not even going to try to pretend like I'm this literary expert. No,
Guru.
but who is, first of all, right?
Hello.
But things are always changing, and there's so much out there. So when I reflected on my youth years, I specifically said that I didn't have access. It's not that they didn't exist. It's just that I didn't have the access to them. So I'm just really trying to increase that access as well for, specifically for the community here in Houston, specifically for Third Ward.
Mhm.
And this is a very online world, and I feel like the reception that I've been getting so far has been really good, on Instagram. And people are, connecting with what I'm doing. And they may live all over the place, not just in Houston, but I want to be clear, like I am specifically doing this for Houston,
Yeah, but you
Um,
also offer your books online as well, right?
I do. I do. So, yes, as of now, I have a very small selection of books available online. And the idea with the online store is we are trying to focus on just releasing a different capsule collection of books every month. So, last month was February. I decided to share like some of my favorite books just so that people can get to know me as a reader.
Mhm.
And then looking into March, we'll be releasing a capsule collection focused on women's history and Black
Mhm.
feminism.
Yes.
And in April we'll have another theme that we will be releasing. But we also do pop-ups, and at the pop-ups I have a lot more books available. Those books are not available online. Maybe they will be. This is a new business, we're finding our way. We're trying different things. And when I say we, it's me and my hubby Troy. He's been so supportive and so amazing. Yeah, he's so dope. But anyway, we're trying things out. So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see how it evolves because that's the one thing that I somebody told me who she had a business for some years, and she was just kind of giving me advice when I was launching Vonney, and she was like, "Girl, where you start, your business is going to evolve like almost like week to week, month to month," and it has. And like ideas that I had when I started out, I was like, "Oh no, 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 that's not." It just as your vision for your business clarifies, so does the way you express it. So I'm excited to see how y'all
Yeah.
evolve. And your
Yeah.
website is live, so people can go on your website. People can shop the selection that you already have up, and if we're in Third Ward. When you launch, I feel like I want to take like a special trip and come. I've always wanted to visit Houston,
Yeah.
particularly Third Ward, for all the
Yeah.
reasons. But I feel like I want to take a special trip to come and visit your store when y'all
Oh,
launch. And yeah, I do.
that's
Yeah.
super sweet. It's gonna be dope. I'm so excited. I'm so fired up about it. I really am. So you should come. It's gonna be fun. If you need a place to stay, let me know.
I do. Yes, I do. And I can meet Elle and Ethan.
Oh yeah, they are two incredible children. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
very very blessed. Yeah.
Well, I want to end the interview, the one-on-one chit chat with you. I'm going to ask you this question, and it can be as detailed or as broad as you want it to be. Your answer. What is your wildest dream?
Mhm. So my wildest dream is, and I don't think it's wild, I just think it's a dream. I just want, seriously, Black children, Black people to um, just continue to know their worth, their value, um, what they, to be proud of what they add to this world. They add so much, they give so much. And I want us to, have more and more space, all the space that we need to, feel loved, to be comfortable,
Mm,
to own. I just really want us to own our stuff, to own our spaces, to
yes.
create our own, to have the autonomy and the access to resources to create the things that we need
Mm,
in our own communities. That is my wildest dream, probably. And it's not wild. I mean, I think it's something that should be easily attainable, but unfortunately, it's not.
yeah,
I just want us to be happy. I want us to be happy.
yes.
Yeah. And that's why I'm doing this. I'm doing this for us, um, and for all lovers of Black literature, but primarily I'm doing this for us. So I'm excited to be able to inch us towards that dream, along with all the other amazing Black business owners that are doing amazing things all over the country, all over the world, and just creating that space for us.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I will say, and this this is crazy, but I will say that what you're doing is extremely important. And I say that, and you can look at history and look at like all the historical movements that were against um, the freedom of a people, or that were against people evolving into their best selves. It always started with burning books and limiting access to education, keeping people from reading, keeping people from being able to be empowered within self knowledge.
Right.
So I think that you having a bookstore is one of those like foundational pieces to that bridges people to freedom, liberation, joy, happiness, dreams, the ability to dream, the ability to aspire to be more. And yeah, so I think that you are contributing to your wildest dream.
We'll see. I hope so. I really do. I
Yeah.
mean, in my mind, Kindred Stories is just like this beautiful, magical place, and I hope that when people visit, they feel beautiful and they feel magical and they feel empowered. That's how I hope they feel. I really do. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Terry, for this time, sitting down and chit chatting with
Hi.
us.
This is
Yeah.
my first like Kindred Stories interview, so this is
Really?
yeah. I haven't done anything. So. So
Nice.
thanks for reaching out. Yeah, this was super fun. And again, congrats to you. I think what you're doing is amazing.
Thank you.
And I truly, truly enjoyed my first box.
Yeah.
And I look forward to the next one. Yeah. I've
Yes.
been using
Yeah.
everything. And Troy, I'm like, Troy, this is my lotion. Like, I'm not sharing this with you.
It's
I
somebody.
find it on his, I find it like next to his stuff. I feel like looking for it and I find it next to his stuff and I'm like, no,
Like,
this
is this
what
my
I'm
cream?
right.
No, I another subscriber told me that her son and her boyfriend like won't stay out of her box, and I was like, okay, let me go ahead and watch my Vonney man.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
And
yeah.
I mean, I have dreams for Kindred Stories too. Like, I have already reserved a few Kindred names on
Mm,
Instagram. Like, I've reserved Kindred Beauty, because
okay.
I would love to, like, and this is another wild dream. Like, who knows? But in maybe the years ahead, I want to be able to like open a Black beauty store. Like, that's another thing that we don't have in Houston. We don't really have access to. And just thinking about Black creators making things for Black skin,
Mhm.
it's important for us to have access to that because a lot of people are doing it, but you have to order it online. you have to find it, and specifically for Houston, sometimes we just want a place to walk in where you can just explore and discover,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So who knows, one day maybe we'll have a Kindred Beauty.
Yeah. Just,
Also
I
with
mean,
their Kindred cloth. I'm over here dreaming
you
all day, every
listen,
day.
dream on, sister. The sky's really the limit.
Honestly, honestly, I'm just like, well, why not?
Why
Like
not?
why not? Why not? Why can't I do this?
I mean, honestly, our ancestors, not many of them, not many of them had the opportunity to actually dream. And then
Mhm.
even fewer of them had the opportunity to step out on their dreams, right? So when it comes to dreaming, for me, I'm all about it. I'm like, why not? I mean, it can either happen or it can't, or maybe Elle will do it, if she hears you
Yeah,
talking about it, maybe she'll do it, you just never know. So
yeah, you never
yeah.
know. So, well, big up to you.
Hey, well, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll keep in touch. And I cannot wait to order something off of online and also to step inside when you do your ribbon cutting. I hope y'all have like a big celebration when you do the whole thing. And I
Uh-huh.
hope I can drink some coffee in there because I like to read books and drink coffee and tea. So,
So I know that we're probably running out of time, but so yes, coffees and tea. So I actually can't drink coffee, but I drink a lot of like elixirs and adaptogen drinks.
mhm.
So like, and again, supporting Black owned businesses. Some of my favorite warm lattes to make are using these blends by Gold, which I'm sure you've heard of. They have
Yes.
a
Oh,
turmeric blend. I have like every single one. They also make face masks, which are really, really awesome. I have
yeah.
those. And then there's also another company that makes an adaptogen blend, a Black-owned company called Peace and Valley Co. And they make a few adaptogen blends that I absolutely love.
Okay.
Um, so in the bookstore, hopefully we'll have coffees, we'll have teas, but we'll also have some adaptogen stuff that people can
Yes.
try and explore. So
Girl, you got it all. I'm so excited. You got it
it's
all.
all in my head. I just have to make it
That's right.
happen.
Well, the community, we support you, and I just send nothing but love and success. I send nothing but love and success toward you and your business. So,
Oh, well, thank you.
yes,
Thank you.
yes, thank you, Terry, and I'll see you soon in
All
some
right,
way.
girl. All
Okay,
right, awesome. Bye.
bye.